Hi, welcome to Trilogy Tech Talk. My name is Dave Littman. I'm Vice President of Business Development, and I'm joined today by Gene Bosman, who is VP and Principal Analyst with Hurwitz Associates. And I'm also joined by Doug Mauhan, who is Division Director with the Cybersecurity Directorate of the Cybersecurity Division of the Science and Technology Directorate with the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Doug, welcome.
Thanks, Dave. It's good to be here.
Thanks for joining us. And so we're here at the RSA conference. We're talking about the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's role in security and cyber terrorism. So tell us a little bit about what your mission is. It's a little different than, I would say, 99% of the exhibitors at the RSA conference.
It is very different. Our job is to create technologies and then to try to make them available to the marketplace, which is different than a lot of other government agencies. Many other government agencies are basic research focused. We don't fund basic research, we fund applied research and work with the developers to do testing and evaluation and then transition and commercialization of those technologies.
Okay.
And here at the conference, we have 12 of our technologies that we're demonstrating and showing to others.
Okay.
We're looking for customers and investors to try to take those technologies to the next step.
Okay, fabulous, fabulous. So we spoke a little bit earlier about what you guys call the Homeland Security enterprise. So take us, I guess, a little bit on the journey of where the idea starts for a technology that gets funded to ultimately sort of where it finishes and gets materialized.
So we call the Homeland Security enterprise just about anything you touch.
Okay.
So you're familiar with TSA at the border and at the airport and CBP, but it also includes first responders, it includes cybersecurity and all of everything in between. And so what we do is we take requirements from customers, where customers also includes the private sector, international partners, other agencies, as well as internal customers within DHS. Then we'll put out solicitations to the community. Anyone can respond, academics, industry, other government agencies, national labs, international partners. We'll then take those ideas, evaluate them, and fund some number of them. We'll work with the researcher and the developer to make sure the technology is as solid as it can be, put it through pilots operationally with our customers, and then we'll work with them to commercialize and transition that technology. Our goal is to get it into the market so that then it's available not only for the government, but it's available for the rest of the Homeland Security enterprise.
Okay, interesting, interesting.
Right. So you said you had a unique model you were saying earlier. Can you just explain that model?
Sure, the model is this kind of post-R&D. If you look at a lot of the other R&D funding agencies, they'll fund the research and the development, but they don't fund the back end, the testing and the pilots and deployment and transition. And in fact, if you talk to an entrepreneur, they'll tell you that the back end is as hard or harder than doing the research and development.
Sure.
Getting through the valley of death for an entrepreneur or for a company, our goal is to help them get through that valley and make it a reality in the market. Obviously, every one of them doesn't work out that way, but we've seen over the last 12 years over 40 technologies that have come out into the market because of the DHS funding.
Right, and is this business and academia?
Academics, small business, large business, labs, international partners. We have a very interesting authority in that we can fund just about anyone.
Wow.
And we do.
Okay.
And your reason for being at RSA is to meet other companies or to meet end users from various verticals?
Across the board, right? So part of it is educating people about what DHS does. Most people don't know DHS besides at the airport.
Right.
And so our job is to educate, cultivate relationships, find other companies that might have technology we'd be interested in, as well as have our own projects present, looking for future investors, for partners, customers, et cetera. So really the whole spectrum across our whole portfolio we're trying to push forward as part of RSA.
There was a recent announcement that you guys had to do with an award that you guys made of funding in the IoT space, Internet of Things space. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. So our secretary last April at the RSA conference announced that DHS was going to open up a Silicon Valley office. I'm the senior executive in charge of that office, and so over the last 10 months we've established a presence here in Silicon Valley. We've been here in the Valley for over a decade, but this is a physical presence. And we did our first solicitation in the space of IoT security. We've come up with some very new innovative models for how we solicit and how we do the process of awarding contracts. We have a special authority, and so we were able to put out a call in December, take in applications and review those applications. We did in-person 15-minute presentations, just like they do at a venture capital company. Gave them a thumbs up or a thumbs down on the spot, and awarded a contract in 11 days.
Wow.
So from call to award, it was less than 60 days.
Wow.
And we'll continue to do that as part of our Silicon Valley activities.
So two things. You get the elevator pitch,
Yep.
but as well you're speeding up the process.
Yeah, that normal government contracting, that process that took us 60 days would normally take 9 to 12 months.
Wow. Okay.
And so our argument is, if we're going to be in the Valley, we have to have processes that can work as quick as the Valley.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
One of the questions I have, Doug, is that although this is the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, we certainly know that the United States has partnerships and allies with other countries around the world, and so I'm curious as to your role in, or your group's role in partnering with some of our allies in your effort.
So Science and Technology has 13 signed agreements, government-to-government agreements with our partners around the globe, and so we do work with most of them, and we have some interesting models where they can co-fund. So some of these technologies they're able to jointly fund with us. They get access to the IP. We have other projects where we have joint researchers, for example, here in the US and in the Netherlands, doing joint projects together, where we've connected some researchers in a couple of areas. And even the Silicon Valley activities are available to companies outside the US. Again, we have some interesting authorities for how we can do contracting. I can fund a Canadian company, a British company, an Australian company. My job is to find the best technology for the department. I don't care where it's coming from.
Interesting. And there was also a relatively recent announcement from the White House about their R&D plan as it pertains to cybersecurity. Can you tell our audience a little bit about that?
So about 3 weeks ago, the White House announced two things. One was the Cybersecurity National Action Plan, which laid out a number of activities, more of them operationally focused, but one item was the Federal R&D Strategic Plan, which lays out kind of the things we need to be thinking about for the next 5+ years in research and development, and then that will be executed by the agencies funding research and development, including us.
Interesting.
Could you give us some examples of some, you said you've already had a number of projects have actually come to fruition out in the marketplace. Give us some idea. It must be quite a range of, some things are physical, some are software, I'm sure. So
yeah, they are. I'll give you 3 really good examples.
Okay.
So the first one is something called the Iron Key. It's a secure USB. It was originally funded in 2005. The company grew
I remember that company.
From 2 people to 150, and it was sold in 2012 to iMation. And the Iron Key is now a product. So 10 years later, still a thriving product in the market, originally funded by us for $1.4 million. We wanted to put our logo on their packaging, but we weren't allowed to do that. But DHS is behind your Iron Key. A second one I'll point out is one of our missions is law enforcement. DHS is a law enforcement organization with the Secret Service, ICE, CBP, and the Coast Guard. And so criminals are going more and more online. And so they need capabilities. We have produced technologies to help our law enforcement partners do analysis of automobiles. So over 80% of criminal activities include an automobile. And there's all kinds of data on an automobile for law enforcement to be able to extract. And so we've funded technology that allows them to more easily extract that data to use it in an investigation. And our most recent one is a company that came out of Columbia University. called Red Balloon Security. Small startup, half a dozen people in embedded software. Their technology was licensed by Hewlett Packard and will be used for the next generation of printers to ensure that those printers are more secure and cannot be compromised by bad guys.
It's very interesting.
So a very broad range of technologies and products that are coming out of our program.
Interesting, interesting. Cool, cool. So it sounds like you guys are touching almost any door into the network. So, you know, even printers, right? Cars. You know, I'm guessing driverless cars are going to be a whole new domain for you guys as well.
You know, we actually prefer cars with drivers.
With people, right?
Yeah,
right.
so,
Funny.
But yeah, it is a broad domain. Everything today is networked. You know, a car is 70 computers with 4 tires, and that's just the way we're going.
Right. And I'd like to just add a question we've been asking the other folks about cloud computing. So in the cloud, you know, you have your traditional perimeter type network, but you're opening it up in various ways to one or more clouds. How does that change things, do you think?
Same problem, right? Yeah. So I've now got my data in somebody else's infrastructure. I'm making decisions as a CIO or as a business, what cloud provider can give me the best security, because I'm trying to do this for economic reasons. I'm outsourcing my data and my operations to somebody else, and so I'm going to make the same decisions there that I'm going to make for my own personal, if I were doing the infrastructure myself. And so it really is a matter of who can provide me the best security, data availability, etc. All decisions that anyone would have to make when they start talking about outsourcing and to the cloud, or whether they do it themselves, you still have to make those same decisions. And you should be making those decisions on who can provide me the best security for the cost, not just for the cost. You need to think about security as you think about those outsourcing.
Okay.
Well, fabulous. I mean, it's interesting. You know, it's an area that I think people are just starting to think about, right? The non-technical person just starting to think about all the threats that are out there, and of course, it's now spread out into businesses, and they're thinking about all the threats. So we see the people at the TSA, but a lot of times we don't see who's behind the scenes in cybersecurity. So we thank you for your service and your support and all that you do, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here.
Okay,
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you for watching. You've been watching Trilogy Tech Talk. I'm Dave Littman, and we've been speaking with Doug Mauhan, who is the Division Director with the Cybersecurity Division at the Science and Technology Directorate at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Gene Bosman, thank you for being here as well. Thank you again for watching.